Student Trustee Chan.
Here. Any public comment on closed session items?
Yes, we have one public comment from Rhonda Williams. You have 3 minutes and you may begin at any time.
Good afternoon. After I addressed the Board of Trustees at its October 19th meeting about the challenges within the non-credit division, I was confronted and belittled right here in this very room by one of PCC's administrators. I was told that I don't understand the letter that the college issued to me and that I am not their friend or their colleague and that the letter was issued to protect the college. Then this person demanded that I reappear before the board and retract my statement. This is why I'm here today. I will not retract my statement, but I will clarify it. My name is Dr. Rhonda Williams. I am a tenured non-credit assistant professor and a researcher of the issues that non-credit students face within the California community college system. Over the last 3 years, I've quantitatively analyzed the student data records of 20,000 PCC non-credit students. I actually understand why from 2015 to 2019, over 900 PCC non-credit students dropped out and never returned. I also understand why 77% of adult high school diploma students and 84% of non-credit CTE students never graduated. Despite possessing this knowledge, not one of PCC's administrators have ever asked me to discuss the data. Why does PCC need protection from the research findings? The administrator that confronted me demanded that I tell the board that the letter also said that PCC is interested in the research but is not obligated to act on any findings or recommendations that the research may yield. The letter also says the research project and the data analysis is for the sole use of the researcher. I'm curious to know what type of campus climate allows administrators to intimidate and bully other employees. Non-credit students are the most vulnerable at PCC. The National Center for Education Statistics identified 7 risk factors that affect student persistence, which are no high school diploma, delayed college entrance, part-time enrollment, financial independence, full-time work, they have children, and they're single parents. Non-credit students show all 7 risk factors. They deserve knowledgeable administrators who understand their plight and know how to strategically utilize the CAPE and WIOA grant funds to create new and relevant curriculum that empowers them to achieve their academic and career goals. Since 2015, the non-credit division has been provided with over $9 million of restricted grant funds to create new non-credit programs that lead to living wage jobs, but no new programs have been created. How was the $9 million spent? I asked the board to compel the college to improve its campus culture and workplace climate. No employee should be bullied because their viewpoint is different than the administration's. I also asked the board to compel the college to actually practice its own values of reimagining education and employing transformational problem solving by creating new non-credit programs that prepare students to transfer to credit-bearing classes and become competitive applicants in today's job market. Every PCC student, including non-credit students, should have access to an equitable and inclusive learning environment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. That's all we have.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to have 5 items in closed session. I'm going to read the items. One is Government Code 54957, Public Employee Appointment, Acting Director, Child Development Center. 2, Government Code 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiators, Agency Designated Representative Robert Belinsky, Assistant Superintendent, Vice President, Human Resources. Government Code 54957, Public Employee Employment, Superintendent President. 4, Government Code 54957, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, the Superintendent President. Item number 5, Government Code 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiator, Agency Negotiator Yerma Rodriguez Moisa and Paul McLaughlin, Unrepresented Employee, Superintendent President. Now we're going to recess to closed session.
would, just because
One of my high school buddies asked to borrow $10,000.
I'll see you. They're due November 30th. To spoil your Thanksgiving.
They'll be done before that.
Well, you may or you may not be, right?
Good evening. We're going to get started.
Every place has their thing.
There were no action taken in closed session. Roll call.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Here.
Trustee Gibson.
Here.
Trustee Kwong.
Here.
Trustee Martin. Here. Trustee Osterling.
Here.
Trustee Silver.
Here.
Trustee Wong.
Here.
Student Trustee Chan.
Here. Terrific. Thank you. Land acknowledgement. Do we have Trustee Gomez? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to call him Trustee Gomez. I'm so used to calling him a trustee. Is Emmanuel here tonight? Okay.
He was here.
Saw him.
Okay. So, Simone, would you read the land acknowledgement, please? Thank you.
Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of people who have been known as the Garbolino Band of Mission Indians of the Shishikwanga Village and Quiche Nation. Tonight, we acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land on which we gather. We also honor the legacy of the African diaspora and recognize that the United States, as we know, it was built at the often fatal expense of forcefully enslaved Black people. We are indebted to their labor and the labor of many Black and brown bodies that continue to work in the shadows of our collective benefit. PCC and faculty, staff, and students recognize that we are all simultaneously teachers, learners, and guests on these lands. This acknowledgement is a small part of an ongoing process of working to raise awareness about histories that are too often erased or forgotten, to recognize our place in this history, and to affirm our commitment to social justice, systematic change, and anti-racism. Thank you. On our Pledge of Allegiance, may I ask Ms. Lena Hicks to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Go ahead. Trustee Chen Lao, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but may I decline?
Yes, you may. Okay,
you.
then I will have Trustee Osterling lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have resolution number 741 authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the Board of Trustees, its regular meetings, and any other college bodies as required by the Ralph M. Brown Act.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed and no abstentions. Okay. Approval and reordering of agenda items. Do I have a
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. And no abstentions. Okay. Introductions and recognitions.
Okay, our first introduction/recognition is Carol Calandra.
Yay, Carol.
Hi, good evening. First and foremost, thank you very much for having me here and asking what's happening in the VRC. So I'm going to share some things that are happening in the VRC. I'm going to talk about the outside first. 2022-2023 military-friendly gold status. 2022-2023 best for vets by Military Times, #1 in the state of California. 2022-2023 military friendly for supporting military families and dependents, our first recognition ever for that award. We have been named 2022 champion for veterans in higher education by GI Jobs. Last week we were recognized by both Congresswoman Chu and Congresswoman Grace Napolitano for being a stellar program for veterans in the San Gabriel Valley, highlighting our leadership and dedication to serving veterans. We were also highlighted and recognized as a top leader in veteran services by the LA County Board of Supervisors. We have been recognized by the Veterans of Foreign War, Post 3208, for distinguished service in furthering the aims and ideals of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States of America. We were awarded and recognized by the USS Iowa for our sponsorship and participation in the fight to eradicate veteran suicide. In the past year, we've sponsored, participated, and hosted 6 veteran suicide awareness prevention workshops, 2 here at PCC and 1 next week at Cal State LA. We have been selected to speak at several conferences. One, sharing both the failures and successes in serving our military-connected students at the National Association of Student Services Professionals in Boston. And then seeing the success of collaboration with VRC and DSPNS at the California Association of Post-Secondary Education on Disability. We were also selected, this is kind of secret, so, to have a special audience with the VA Chief of Staff to discuss with her the issues that our student veterans face in community colleges in Southern California. That discussion is continued. I've extended an invitation to the VA Chief of Staff. However, they have said, maybe we'll just come out and visit y'all at some point in time. So knock wood that happens. On the inside, so that's on the outside. On the inside, I'm happy to share, and thanks to the reporting from Quay Dang, that the VRC has closed the equity gap in serving veterans. We've also had a dramatic increase of our student veterans' completion, success, and transfer rates. I'm going to tell you right now, our veterans are dedicated, they are motivated, and they are performing beautifully. And right here sits the officers of the Veterans Club. One headed out in a Master's of Public Health at USC. The other one, UCLA, is going to be a pharmacist. So we have some amazing veterans. We secured additional funding through the Chancellor's Office that will be used to share the VRC counselor and the VRC coach between VRC and DSP&S, which bridges the gap of veterans with a disability rating. And it also increases the number of veterans actually applying for a disability. Last year, we had the largest number of veterans graduate, complete, and transfer ever. After 3 years, we will be hiring my old job, my replacement, in the Veterans Center specialist position, and we've added in an additional veteran certifying official. Right there. We've expanded our in-person services to 2 outside agencies doing mental health, US Vets Outside the Wire and the East LA Vet Center. We are one of 9 community colleges in the state that have a vet success on campus rep through the VA, so we are extremely lucky and blessed on that. We are one of the community colleges that have the LA VPAN team, which is the Vet Success Access Net, the Vet VPAN. Vet Peer Access Network. Sorry, we have partnered with Women Vet on Point, and we have a representative that comes into the VRC to work with our female veterans. We have an LA County Department of Military and Veterans Affairs Service Officer. We're almost running out of space. Shh, sorry. We've successfully created an internship program with Cal State LA, the Rehabilitation Counseling Program, to assist in the transition of our veterans. Those over at Cal State LA, they have had 120 hours of training, and they are officially peer outreach support team. 5 of them are former PCC students, veteran students that we've brought back. We've created 2 new programs. One is called it's called PCC's Got Your 6. We've had roughly 80 staff and faculty members participate. It's a 2.5-hour training. And you get a little sticker that goes on your door, your water bottle, or your computer that says, I'm a veteran ally. It's safe to come in here and talk to me. And then the other thing that we have just created, many thanks to Alex, is a PCC Proud Veteran pin. That is a beautiful pin that for all of our staff, our faculty, our administrators, our board members, our foundation board members, our police, our facilities. If you're a veteran, please come to our social and we will gift you a pin. We are expanding the Veterans Wall. Now it'll be cleaned up a little bit, and behind the wall will be 9 flags. America, POW, MIA, California, and all of the branches, now including the Space Force. And we are extremely excited that we were chosen to participate in the military credit for prior learning cohort with Norco. So we see that's going to be an amazing program once we get it up and running and moving forward. I think no one stood up yet.
It doesn't work that way here.
I'm good. So for our events next week, tomorrow, we'll be at the Wall celebrating our veterans. So please join us at noon. We will also be honoring Dr. Olivo. We have our veterans display in the library this month. Our veterans, for the first time ever, are on the face of the administration building. Yay! And on our website, our Veterans and Family Fair that was scheduled for yesterday was postponed due to the rain. So we are looking at a date in December. We're hosting our annual Friendsgiving dinner on the 17th, and we are participating with Mayor Gordo's Operation Gobble Gobble on the 19th. So those are some of the few things that are going on in the VRC. There's a lot more going on, but I only had 5 minutes. So to the thank yous, right? First, I'd like to thank the staff of the VRC. They work tirelessly. They work tirelessly to make sure that every veteran that graces our doors is taken care of in a manner that they feel is needed, and all the services that are there as well. Our coaches, we have incredible coaches that we share with other programs. There are success coaches, our counselors. We have 3 VRC counselors. One we borrow from counseling. Thank you very much, Dean Duran. And then 2 other adjuncts, again, that we're sharing with DSPNS to bridge that gap. The entire PCC family that supports our veterans. The other day I got an email from a professor telling me what an amazing student that they had in their class, and it was a veteran. So I'm very appreciative for that. Erica, I know that you always have veterans in your heart, so I greatly appreciate that too.
Military brat, can't help it.
Doc Martin is our doc. Yes. He is our doc. We could not do what we do without him. He has taught Boots to Books the longest in the nation. Let me say that one more time. The longest in the nation Boots to Books has been taught on this campus by Doc Martin. The lives that he has changed is incredible. The stories that he has, and what he is allowed to do in the classroom in helping our veterans, it's incredible. Dr. Olivo? Dr. Olivo is our superwoman. She is our super champion. She has stood in front of everyone fighting for services for our veterans. She's taken it in the shorts a couple times too, I think. I know once for me, but but you have been absolutely incredible in showing us leadership skills, in showing us heart, in showing us what matters, and that our veterans matter. So we appreciate you, and we wish you well. So that's it from the VRC.
Carol, before you step down, may I just say a few words about your leadership, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I remember running into you at the Black Family Reunion, and at that time it wasn't official yet that you received a special award, and I just wanted to congratulate you on the special recognition from our supervisor, Catherine Barger, on the leadership and your care for the Veterans Resource Center and your commitment to veterans, and how that resonates so much on campus. And we are so appreciative of your being here and being at PCC. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much.
We don't have a time limit to this meeting, so you go right ahead. With that, I'd like to bring up a special person to all of us here at PCC who has been with PCC for 15 years. And she has demonstrated her leadership, intelligence, commitment to the mission, vision, and goals of PCC. But mostly, she has a servant leadership towards our students. And it is so bittersweet for us to say goodbye to Dr. Cynthia Olivo, but she will be such a wonderful leader at Fullerton College, and they're so lucky to have you, Cynthia. So will you join me up here while I read our board resolution to you? May I also ask my colleagues to join me up here in recognizing Dr. Olivo, please? Thank you. The print is very small. I'm going to do my best. I believe I'm getting my AARP card. You know? So, okay, yes, can I? So, excuse me. Look how well prepared she is, even at her own recognition. So, Pasadena Area Community College District Resolution honoring Dr. Cynthia Olivo's contributions to Pasadena City College and the Pasadena Area Community College District. Whereas Dr. Olivo has been an administrator at Pasadena City College since 2008, and whereas Dr. Olivo has progressed through the Student Services Division of the college from her initial service as dean to her current position as Assistant Superintendent Vice President of Student Services. And whereas throughout her time at PCC, Dr. Olivo has distinguished herself as an advocate, an innovator, and a never-ending source of support for the college's students and community. And whereas her list of accomplishments at the college runs long and deep, Dr. Olivo has been a primary driver for PCC's lauded first-year Experience Pathways program, service offices such as CORE and Puente, the PCC Complete Graduation Initiative, and many other projects. And whereas Dr. Olivo's efforts have been instrumental in PCC earning recognition as one of the nation's leading community colleges, including 3 consecutive rankings of finalists for the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence, and whereas her service to community college students has expanded beyond PCC through her work with colleagues and the statewide chief student services offices of California's community colleges, and whereas she is also recognized as a leader within the district, having served as the community grand marshal of the Pasadena Latino Heritage Month Parade in 2019, and whereas Dr. Olivo has served as a mentor to many faculty and employees at the college, helping, encouraging, understanding, and knowledge of issues surrounding student equity, professional development, and PCC's culture of service to our students. And whereas, as the granddaughter of migrant farm workers, daughter of a single mother, first in her family to go to college, and third generation Mexican-American Chicana, Dr. Olivo herself is an inspiration for many students in our district who strive to achieve their dreams. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District commend and recognize Dr. Cynthia Olivo for her outstanding service to the students, faculty, staff, community of Pasadena City College and our district. Congratulations.
Take the mask off. There we go. Wait.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Nice job bouncing on that, Dr. Olivo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment on non-agenda items?
We do have a couple public comments on non-agenda items, and just to let the board chair know, we have one comment on an agenda item later for J3.
J3. Okay, thank you.
The first comment for our public comment on non-agenda items will come from Melissa Michelson.
Someone forgot their glasses? You're welcome.
You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Board. As a faculty senator here at PCC, I wish to remind you all how valued you are as elected members of the Pasadena community who should strive for accountability of PCC's processes or questioning of PCC's expenditures, because funding doesn't belong to PCC, but PCC is the steward of taxpayers and your voters' hard-earned money. In the Academic Senate, I have been known to ask questions and call for transparency, but in doing so, I risk upsetting the apple cart. I risk people taking things personally or making it about them, when in fact it's about all of us. For example, this week, I expressed my concern that our Senate's sites are not up to date and that we don't know who's serving on what committee, and how to join a committee is not transparent with the drop-down menu not functioning or existing for the committee that I had tried to join, the Social Justice Committee. I notified the co-chairs as well as the Senate President about this 2 weeks ago and had heard nothing, so at the Senate meeting when I saw someone else's name on the agenda for that committee, I brought it up and tried to rectify it. I tried to use Robert's rules, which is what the Senate follows, to reconsider or amend. Anyway, long story short, I was chastised for attempting to use Robert's rules by the parliamentarian. My point is, when you ask questions and try to keep things on the up and up around here, it's as if that's not valued. In fact, when I signed up to speak for public comment tonight, your board secretary commented how she had just spent a lot of time watching me in the Senate video asking, quote, a bunch of questions, as if I were a nuisance for doing so. Active professors at this campus should not be met with frowns, microaggressions, or tone policing when we are participating in shared governance outside of our classroom. Likewise, when you ask questions and demand transparency, regardless of what it is about, regardless of identity politics that others may try to use to dissuade you from doing so, the public deserves to know, good or bad. I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with you doing that. What's wrong is if you don't. Thank you.
The next comment is from Ms. Shaganaka.
Morning. So this is the last board meeting for the Secretary, Mary Thompson. It feels like yesterday, the first time I met you, the first time, you are helping me to fill out my yellow card. I have the same issues. I ask so many questions to faculty members, to office workers, staff, secretaries, everybody either laughing at me or either just telling me, hey, that's none of your business. There's only one secretary in this campus for the past 3 years, who always showed me professionalism, respect, dignity, always, answer the questions, and always treat me with respect and professionalism. So this is your last board meeting, and I can never thank you enough. I can only wish you a forever permanent retirement. All right, going back to my second favorite person in this board, which is Vice President Jones. September board meeting, I believe you said the $200 bookstore credit will continue to be offered next year, if I hear you clearly, if I hear you correctly. Now, I'm pretty sure that you don't want to make a deal with a student like me, but I still want to negotiate a deal with you. Is that possible that next year for me to sacrifice my $200 bookstore credit in exchange for my $125 bus pass? So next year, because not everybody needs the bookstore credit. Students like me, we come here, we are taking the classes without using any textbooks. So it will be great idea next year for you to ask students, hey, everybody, do you want to get your $200 credit bookstore, or do you want to get your $125 a bus pass? Therefore, you're not only saving money, actually you can saving all those money, $75 per student. And I'm pretty sure that there are millions of ways that you can give it to your coworkers to solve the systemic racism problem, because in the recent several meetings that systemic racism become the most popular issues at this board. So you will be happier in that. I'm happier to sacrifice my $75, and then your coworkers will be happy. You know, all three parties will be happy. And then I heard many public comment speakers are always talking about, you know, the superintendent got a big salary contract, a big salary increase. So I want to make sure, I want to remind the board, please don't forget about Vice President Jones, because when she get a big, thank you.
That's all we have for public comment right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Approve minutes for regular business meeting number 6, October 19th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Abstentions?
I'm going to abstain because of my limited tenure at the meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Martin. So one abstention. Board committees reporting out. Information item. Trustee Osterman.
Thank you. The Facilities Committee held a meeting this past week, and before I report out on the meeting, all of us in the PCC community, administration, faculty, staff, students, board, etc., are very pleased to see the votes are still early, but the trend is very strong for the passage of Measure PCC, and we all appreciate it, but in particular the Facilities Committee, which is planning our facilities for the future. We appreciate that confidence that the community has expressed. Without further ado, the next item that we're working on is the mirror pool design. And heads up to our board members, at our next meeting, our December meeting, we will be presented with options for the mirror pool design. And if you want to understand what those options are in advance of the meeting, contact me, or also you could contact Candace Jones to get that information and presentation. As the facilities activities increases, the subcommittee, which is myself and Trustee Wang and Trustee Kwong, are committed to meeting as often as needed, so that decisions that you need from the committee and from the board don't slow down our facilities improvements. And to that end, we're going to be meeting again in a couple of weeks. And thank you for your added service. Our normal subcommittees don't have to meet this frequently, but it's interesting, important, and fun work. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Osterling. Any other board committees reporting out? Okay, great. And then we are going to combine consent calendar, approval consent calendar items E1 1 through G14.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No noes and no abstentions. Okay. Next. Approval of personnel consent calendar H2 through H3. So this is a vote that the student trustee does not vote on, okay?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay, great, thank you. Now we have action items for approval. Authorization to transmit first quarterly financial status report 311Q.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No abstentions and no nays. Approve additions, modification, and deletions to the credit and non-credit curriculum.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. All those opposed? None. And no abstentions. Okay. 3 is memorandum of understanding between the Pasadena Area Community College District and the Pasadena Area Community College District confidentials.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay. Resolution number 742 commemorating Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No abstentions and no nays. Resolution number 743 commemorating National Native American Heritage Month, November 2022. All those in favor? Oops, sorry. There was.
I'm going to move approval of resolution 743, 744, 745, and 746.
I'll second that.
Terrific. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. No abstentions and no opposed. Okay. Now we go into J, information item.
Okay, so the first information item is actually a presentation, and the presentation is by Dr. Micah Young, who will be speaking about our Pathway to Pharmacy program between PCC and Western University of Health Sciences.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to present to the board on this exciting partnership between Pasadena City College and Western University of Health Sciences. First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the support. Nothing of significance happens at this college without the support of first the board and then the leadership of the institution. So I'd like to start with my acknowledgments because I think that's the most important thing that we do here is acknowledge the work of the folks who support us in doing great work for the college. So our partner with Western University of Health Sciences and the School of Pharmacy, Dr. Sanu Prabhu, President Andrew Jonas, Dean Tamika Alexander, who has been supported in terms of our partnership and pathways. Question?
Yes. There's a request for you to move the microphone closer so that we can hear you.
I'm sorry. Is this better?
Yes.
Pardon. Okay. Thanks. Sharice Azar, our Counsel and Articulation Officer, and our Contracts Office, who has worked diligently with me to make sure this agreement got approved. So a little bit of the background. So this partnership is interesting because it emerged out of one of our natural partnerships in looking for opportunities for our students to get higher level career and technical education. We offer a lot of career and technical education in the Health Sciences Division. So we were discussing a pharmacy technician program extension. After searching with a lot of schools for an opportunity to do advanced pharmacy technician training, which is pharmacy technician work that occurs in non-traditional settings, not your traditional retail pharmacy technician, but in hospitals, IV and specialty compounding pharmacies, looking for opportunities to expand education and employment opportunities for that cohort of students that frequent the college. They may come from non-credit, but also can come from credit programs, but that are in high demand. As that conversation went on, we had a great synergy with, I had a great synergy with Dean Prabhu, and we started talking about options for the School of Pharmacy. And so this agreement is a result of that partnership and discussion with Dean Prabhu. So I'd like to present the rationale for this collaboration. We like to think of both our schools as being two effective institutions, and these are some of the reasons why. And I'll highlight Western University Health Science College of Pharmacy, a little bit about their institution, and of course we already know about our institution, but I'll highlight that as well. So Western University Health Science College of Pharmacy is one of the top pharmacy programs in the state of California, which are 13 programs in the state. They consistently have ranked among the top performers in the state of California National Pharmacy Board exam pass rates, and that from 2018 to 2021. And the institution has a commitment to increase the diversity and creation of pathways for students, which is similar to ours. Pasadena State College, of course, we're consistently among the top colleges transferring students to four-year institutions in the state of California. We actually have the largest number of education/workforce training programs in health sciences in all of Southern California. And direct entry for our students will help shorten their pathway to employment. Highlighting some of our collective strengths. Both our institutions have a commitment to diversity. Both of us are leaders in health education. We at the pre-baccalaureate level, those at the Western University at the doctoral preparation level and other health science program level. We both have an interesting track record of success. Western University is younger than us, only being around about 45 years, and as we all know, Pasadena City College has been serving our community for almost 100 years. And we both have a commitment to excellence and are willing to try novel approaches to serving students. A little bit more about Western University College of Pharmacy. It's a fully accredited School of Pharmacy. They're accredited June of 2023, and they're accredited by the only pharmacy accrediting organization in the country, which is the ACPE.
Dean Young?
Yes.
In your slide that you said that they're accredited through June 2023, they will continue to be accredited after, right?
That is correct. That's the date of their next accreditation visit.
Okay.
So just like we have a date of our next accreditation visit at the college, that's their current date, and they're in good standing. And that's why I highlighted that they're in good standing with their accreditation agency as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. A little bit more about Western. They're located in Pomona, California, and Lebanon, Oregon. They're an independent nonprofit health professions university conferring degrees in dental medicine, health sciences, medical sciences, nursing, optometry, osteopathic medicine, pharmacy, physical therapy, physician assistant studies, podiatric medicine, and veterinary medicine. And Western University is also fully accredited by WASC and is in good standing with their accreditation organization as well. So a little bit about this MOU. So when we're discussing how to develop a pathway for our students to transfer to the pharmacy program at Western, we took in consideration we wanted an accelerated pathway for students. We wanted to make sure that students had an opportunity to clearly enter graduate education, those students who are prepared to clearly enter graduate education without delay. We wanted to make sure that, one, to fill the workforce demand in the state of California, there's a tremendous need for pharmacists, and also acknowledging that Pasadena City College has a lot of strong qualified students who are ready to take on the rigor of higher education, as demonstrated by our success in transferring students to very selective institutions post their completion of studies here. So this is designed to allow qualified PCC students quicker access to pharmacy school and employment opportunities. So the requirements. PCC students will be required to complete a set of courses to meet enrollment qualifications, and this is to ensure that we have met the ACPE standards for students entering pharmacy school. Students must complete all required prerequisite courses with an overall GPA of at least 3.0. We also want to make sure that students obtain appropriate level of support documenting that they're able to meet the rigors of a graduate level program. And this is done by getting letters of support from their faculty members in their science courses, which is no different than standard graduate school programs, which often require letters of recommendation or letters of support supporting their matriculation into a graduate level program. And they will also have to complete an interview process and apply to the college. This is just an exemplar. This was attachment A that should have been in your board packet, but this is just an exemplar of the courses that PCC currently offers that met the requirement for the transfer. So so PCC did not have to create any additional coursework. We already offer all the existing coursework needed to support the transfer, this transfer pathway for Western University. So what are those benefits to PCC students? I want to highlight this because I think this is something important. Accelerated pathways create opportunities for students to enter the workforce faster. And when we talk about labor market data and labor market income and leading from just a life-sustaining wage to a family-sustaining wage, pharmacy does fit that bill in terms of making sure that individuals have that opportunity. So it streamlines the process for admissions for a pharmacy program in the state of California. Faster time to completion of the program and the proximity. And I think that oftentimes can get overlooked, but the ability to complete all of your education within a geographical region and to potentially work in that region offers a lot of opportunities for PCC students in our district. And I think it's a great opportunity for the district to participate in this pathway and provide this opportunity for students as well. Why is this important? Labor market information, as we do with everything, with all our programs that we look at that have a workforce-related impact, we want to make sure that we're providing a clear pathway to an employment opportunity for students. So if we look at the anticipated job openings that will occur within our area, there are about, sorry, I can't read here, about 3,800 positions, or roughly 300, there's roughly 3,800 new positions that will take place between now and 2028, and at roughly 383 new positions per year. The annual starting salary in our region is $143,000. So that was definitely one of the incentives behind me working with them to make sure that hopefully some of our PCC students will matriculate and attain that annual wage. So next steps. So our next steps include collaboration with the Western University College of Pharmacy to formalize our program details and application procedures, working with student service to identify existing PCC students who might be interested in participating in this pathway and providing counseling and support to them, and creating information about the program to be advertised on PCC's Health Sciences Division website and other avenues as appropriate. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment that I'm really excited about this program because when I was in graduate school at USC, I was an academic advisor, and one of my specialties was pre-health advising, and this was exactly how we used to advise students into the pharmacy school, three years of undergraduate, then they went right into the pharmacy school for 3 years and came out with a PharmD. So it's exciting, and in this case, they will most likely also qualify for an associate's degree on the way out. And so that's even better since our long-term goal is to increase the total number of degrees that individuals in Southern California have. So this is awesome on many levels.
And I think one of the things that is exciting about this project for me is that hopefully
Trustee
this is the first.
Ostling and then Trustee Kwan.
Yeah, and Dr. Young, continue, and then I'll ask my question. Go ahead, please.
This may be the first of many offerings that we may be able to partner with Western University of Health Sciences around. So there's an option to potentially expand our program options. There may be an opportunity to expand our program options with Western University of Health Sciences to allow other students to matriculate into these much in-demand and needed opportunities.
So, Dr. Young, just walk me through how the pathway works, and by that I mean it's 2 years on campus here at PCC. That's a question, and then how many more years at Western University?
Yeah, so the way the program is set up and designed, it's a 3+3. So essentially the students will spend approximately 3 years here completing the necessary prereqs. If they meet all the eligible criteria, they can then apply to the Western University pathway. It should accelerate. So 3 years with us and 3 years there. So it's a 3+3, so it's a 6-year pathway. So it bypasses the need to get a baccalaureate degree, so it saves them a year. And it also gives more direct entry into the College of Pharmacy.
So they can achieve the undergraduate equivalent entirely here at PCC and then go directly to the graduate level.
Yes, all of the requirements needed to enter the program, the prerequisites in terms of undergraduate level courses can be completed at PCC.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Trustee Cole.
Yes. Thank you for that excellent presentation. I'm so proud of PCC for creating an accelerated pathway. So thank you so much. My question is, if they can meet the qualifications in the 3 years, is it an automatic, guaranteed transfer?
It's not automatic. It's not an automatic guarantee. They still have to interview with Western and complete the application process. So there will be some students that may not be able to complete because of the requirements of Western. So they need to complete the interview process and complete the other application processes, complete the total application process enter Western. We will have additional details about that as we move forward. We want to make sure that we don't shut from my perspective, I want to make sure I don't shut the door on the opportunity before we fully discuss it. I think that it will evolve over time. We'll have a better understanding of what those requirements are. And as we are successfully matriculating students into the pathway, we'll be able to inform students about what the requirements are, working with our counseling team as well.
Maybe would Western Health send a representative to PCC to start providing academic counseling or start training our counselors to make sure the students are ready, and also whether or not in the future they could give a preference to our students if they meet certain academic goals and GPA. Is that a possibility?
I don't want to speak entirely for Western. I know they're very much interested in recruiting PCC students into this program, into this pathway. And I can tell you my conversations with their dean have been very productive. There was, the reason they chose PCC was because I said we could move at a little bit more speed than other institutions in terms of getting the agreement signed and making sure that students had a clear pathway. There was some concern because they have options, right? As a graduate institution, they have options of who they choose to partner with. They chose to partner with us because they recognized the strength and value of the curriculum that students emerge from our institution with and their preparedness. And also, they acknowledge that we have come on their radar as one of those health sciences locations that is growing. Mm-hmm. So it gave us a great opportunity to partner with them. And once again, I want to highlight, all of my conversations with Western has been that this is the inaugural program. We're looking to do others. So they have a spectrum of health sciences programs, which are competitive by very nature in terms of getting enrolled in any of the programs that they offer, very competitive. So I would like to, hopefully with the board support and the support of the faculty and staff here, put PCC in a competitive edge for our students to make sure they qualify for these rigorous healthcare training programs, which are hard to get into regardless of their location. So if we have more of an inside track and get to know the institution, our students get to know the institution, making their transition much easier.
Thank you very much.
Trustee Wang?
Thank you very much, Dr. Young, for this presentation and for all your work on this. This is extremely exciting, so I echo my fellow colleagues' thoughts on that. And your slide on the next steps were really helpful. I was just hoping to get a sense of what the timeline looks like for the eventual student to be able to then get to that point of applying to Western and being a beneficiary of this program.
So we are scheduled for our official signing ceremony next week, and then after that we will enter deliberate discussions in terms of timeline of implementation to make sure that we want to safeguard. My commitment to the district and to our students is to safeguard their process. Just like we've done with our other articulation agreements for four-year programs, we want to make sure that we're serving our students and serving them well so that they're informed about the process, they understand the risks and benefits of the higher education process, and we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we are carving out appropriate time for their consideration, but also guidance and counseling. So hopefully, my words alone, hopefully by their next admission cycle, whether that's 2024 or 2025, that we have students emerging in that cohort.
Thank you.
Trustee Chung? Just a quick clarification for the required coursework. With students that have AP credit fulfill for the course requirements, or will it have to be a letter grade from the campus, from the college?
That is something that will be clarified through our MOU process. As of now, that was something that has not been discussed. They just looked at our course catalog and we went through courses and we agreed to a set of courses. The interesting thing I'd like to add is that I look at this as an interesting pathway for some of our dual credit students as well. So students can literally start this process in high school. We have some students who are academically talented that can begin some of the coursework, prerequisite coursework in high school. Once again, allowing them to complete the pathway and make that transition to potentially a school of pharmacy in a much faster route. But we will verify the AP. I will work with them to verify the AP credit.
Trustee Martin?
Would you help me just understand when they graduate from Western U 3 years after, what do they obtain from that? And besides, I believe would be a knowledge that prepares them for some level of boards. And help me understand, because I never have gone behind the counter of a pharmacy. I did read here pharmacy technicians, and then there's also sterile compounding and level 4 technicians. I'm not sure of the levels in pharmaceutical medicine. Is there...
Yeah. So for this,
the main guy that talks to me at the window, the pharmacist, is he? This is one of those.
This is that person, this is that person, right? So this is leading to the pharmacist, the PharmD, to the doctorate in pharmacy credential. So whether they're working in a hospital, nursing home, or retail pharmacy, or research, it opens up all those opportunities. This is a graduate level degree that is the PharmD that's awarded to students upon successful completion of this program.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, one more from Trustee
Can I ask one
Austin.
follow-up question, hopefully quick? So prior to this MOU, what was the path like for a student at PCC? They would do 2 years here and then what?
Yes, generally 2 years here, generally a year or two at a transition institution for your partner institution. Most students were quite possibly picking up the baccalaureate or getting an advanced degree and then transferring into the institution. So this potentially shortens up to 3 years from the student's academic experience to allow them to qualify for a program.
Thank you.
We're all good? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Young, for being on for yours.
Thank you, Dr. Young.
We have next
So the next we have the All African Diaspora Education Summit. That's our trip to Ghana. But just before that gets started, we're sneaking in a recognition for Dr. Rebecca Cobb, who is retiring. She will be, her last day, I believe, is the first week in December 5th, maybe. And I think Dr. Olivo would like to say a few words.
Dr. Rebecca Cobb has been with this college for almost 30 years. And during that time, she's just been a tremendous leader at this college. She created the Cardinal and Gold Leadership Program, which is still in effect today. She operationalized the annual cross-cultural leadership retreat, which we have students who leave this college and still email about the transformative nature of this experience. And Rebecca also created the Build Women program for Black women leaders on campus. Rebecca is well known from alumni and current students refer to her as the RBG of PCC. Known for her strong and reliable leadership for social justice, and as the college lead on student judicial affairs, she brings a lens of restorative justice rather than replicating the systems that criminalize our students. Rebecca was the Classified Senate President, the Classified Union President, before leaving to serve as a manager at El Camino College, and returning to us as the Dean of Student Life for the past 7 years. She served as the Management Association President for 2 years, the past 2 years. Rebecca creates an inclusive environment for students and employees alike due to her personal approach in her leadership. Our thriving student life is filled with activities and engaged student leaders because of Rebecca's leadership. It is often that I'm in town shopping on the weekends with PCC gear on, and people will stop and ask me, "Is Becky still at PCC?" And they proceed to share a fond memory of her and how so impactful she was to them. Rebecca, you've earned a well-deserved retirement, and any leader would want the very people we're doing this work for to be the ones to speak highly of them. It's our students. That is the pinnacle of a career in higher education, to be remembered by the students as someone who really cared about racial equity and embodied it in every part of your leadership and interactions. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's all time,
Okay, now it's time for the summit.
Now we have a presentation from the All African Diaspora Education Summit.
All right, ago. Ago. Amen. Good evening. In the Ghanaian Akan language, this is the call for response. Ago means, may I have your attention, and Ame means, we are listening. It is an excellent illustration of the way in which we experienced Ghana. Our attention was captured, and we listened. This past September, we had the distinct privilege, supported by President Dr. Androgenis and afforded to us by the organizers of the All-African Diaspora Educational Summit, to visit the birthplace of African independence, Accra and Cape Coast, Ghana. Ghana, a country rich with natural resources but marred by deeply embedded residue of the transatlantic slave trade that stole more than 60 million Africans from the continent, many more of whose deaths were not accounted for, was both a place of incredible brilliance and irredeemable pain. My colleagues and I, alongside 500 other educators, saw firsthand the long-term impacts of the slave trade on the shaping of the continent, not only in terms of economic outcomes, but cultural and social outcomes as well. This reality informed the critical nature of African-centered education, which served as a foundational principle of the 7-day summit. What is African-centered education, and why do we need it? How do we center ourselves and our students in the best of African culture to examine and analyze curriculum, programming, policies, and governance? Education is the reproductive system of a people, so what are we trying to reproduce? That was a question that renowned speaker and leadership strategist Dr. Chike Akua called us to interrogate. If education is identity restoration, then what are we teaching our Black African American students when they don't see themselves reflected? When they are parts of systems designed to take them further away from themselves, our students are conscious about how they're being perceived. So how do our Black African American students, colleagues, communities re-emerge? They do so by recentering Black African experiences, histories, and education. I had the distinct pleasure of traveling with 18 esteemed colleagues of mine, faculty, staff, and students who committed to embark on a journey that would inevitably confront intergenerational cultural trauma, but birth personal and professional edification for the purposes of rewriting history, of producing a counter-narrative to the history that chained our ancestors and disallowed them from returning home to their continent. If I can ask my PCC Ghana family to please stand. I thank each and every one of you for co-creating this experience and bringing a consciousness, yes, for bringing a consciousness of victory back to our Black African American communities. A special thank you to Vice President Candace Jones, who quickly transitioned from participant to co-captain. Shocking. I appreciate you. And to each of you again who gave something of yourselves to this experience that will forever connect us all. Thank you. And finally, to our PCC family, while we are unable to fully capture the essence of what it meant to walk the paths where slaves had their last baths to be sold to merchants, to stand in spaces where the floors of the rooms are higher than when they were built because of the impact of centuries of filth and human waste, and to descend into the bowels of dungeons where when the door slammed shut, the air immediately left the room, we share with you a remnant, a snapshot of the paradigm shift that was Africa, a place of healing.
There were 19 of us that made the trip. We came for different reasons and the same reason all at the same time. Our experiences were varied. Our diversity was our strength. Many of us took up the opportunity to return home out of curiosity, a longing desire to discover parts of ourselves that we had only learned about in textbooks and documentaries, if we were lucky.
I did my dissertation on fugitive slaves in antebellum America. And so I thought I really understood slavery and I knew it really well. And going to the Cape Coast dungeon, that was a completely different experience for me. I really felt the historical trauma of millions of people passing through that place.
Ghana declared 2019 the year of the return. The All-African Diaspora Education Summit looked to honor the Ghana Policy Initiative with Beyond the Return that called for the global African family to return to Africa to participate in the rebuilding of the process. It was within this context that we returned to Ghana to attend the African Diaspora Educational Summit to explore ongoing challenges of community college education for people of color and people of African descent more particularly. In addition to the cultural celebrations, we visited some of the landmark sites of the transatlantic slave trade, particularly the Cape Coast Slave Castle, Elmina Slave Castle, and the Asin Manso Slave River Site. Collectively, these sacred grounds connected us to a brutal history that was foundational to our very existence. In many ways, this experience reminded me of those prophetic words uttered by James Baldwin. Quote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." We were also fortunate to visit the town of Moray, where we were warmly welcomed to the community to celebrate our return home. Not to be left out of the fun, we also visited Cancun Park, where our fears and anxieties were tested on the suspended bridges that hovered above this magnificent national treasure. All of these experiences returned us inward, searching for words, feelings, and ideas to convey the warmth, openness, and the challenges that Ghana offered those that dared to return.
I know that my ancestors fought hard and endured a lot. So my success is their success, and I know without them there would be no me. My experience was life-changing, thought-changing, and action-changing, and I will never look at things the same way.
Come and follow me all the way to Ghana. Hurry, hurry, come carry your baby, go. Come and see my mother. My mother. You must see my mother. My mother. Come and see my mother. Hey. My mother. You must see my mother. My mother. Come and carry. Come and carry. Come and carry. If you want, come and carry. Come and carry. You want, come and carry me all again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, and whoever edited that video has really great talent, and the narration was wonderful. Thank you for sharing your experiences with the board and certainly bringing back those experiences to PCC. Thank you. Okay. Now we have the recruiting. Do we have a public comment?
We do. Yep.
Thank you. We have a public comment on this item J3 from Melissa Michelson.
Hello again. Thank you for that. This is not on this agenda item, but that was really good. Thank you for presenting on Ghana. Okay, several of us, so on the Thailand trip or the Southeast Asian trip, several of us ESL faculty were very pleased to see this on the agenda today. As you may know, due to the pandemic, enrollment is down, not just of American local students, but also international students. For example, in China, our students haven't been able to travel freely, so they've been kind of stuck there. We're therefore anxious to know how this recruitment trip went and how many students were recruited. We'd also like to know what the itinerary was and whether ESL or other professors were invited to go or involved in any way, so that they could talk with prospective students and make them feel comfortable and excited about coming across the seas to PCC. International students at each community college across the state are known as the cash cow of the school because of their extra fees. I hope the presenter will also share how much historically our international students have brought to PCC's general fund. And I hope in the future, you, the board, can find out how much has or is being spent on our foreign students in return toward their needs. I don't know how much time, I don't have much time, but I wanted to tell you how the PCC could have served our students. We had the ESL Center that was coordinated by the ESL Credit Department. In the Credit Department, English, writing, oral communication, presentation, and critical thinking skills are taught to international F1 visa students and immigrant student residents so they can succeed in their PCC content courses and also when they transfer. No other place on campus can do that. That is the Credit ESL division or department, which is now dwindling. At this point, there are only 4 professors there, when last year at this time, approximately, there were 12. In any case, the center had no budget, even though we clamored for funding to keep the center vibrant. With the college constantly talking about equity, it was clear the college didn't really care about ESL students. A few years ago, the center got subsumed by the one-stop shop generic student success centers, and then even eliminated the whole sign of ESL Center. So the special safe space that we had curated for them was pretty much gone, and they couldn't work on their English as in the space that was curated and developed and served by the ESL professors. And we also trained the tutors. In any case, I digress. I'll let the presenter come and present. I'm excited to know the results of this trip and how PCC is going to have more international students here. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And now, may the presenters for the Thailand recruiting trip come up, please.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees. We're very pleased today to be able to present to you tonight about the International Student Recruitment Tour that the international staff members at the International Student Center were able to engage in back in September. For many of you who may know me or may not know me, my name is Olivia Liu. I'm the Director of International Students here at Pasadena City College. And I'm joined by my colleague tonight, Michael Jones, who's one of our education advisors at the International Student Center, who was also a participant and represented PCC in its first international recruitment tour for the college. So today's presentation, I'm going to cover a little bit more about the international recruitment and why we've decided at this point in time to do this. And also, it's not complete without some historical enrollment data of our international students here at PCC. And also to talk a little bit more, Michael, I'm going to be joining us and sharing what the recruitment trip was all about, what actually happened during the time that he was abroad, and what are our future plans moving forward with this information and with the students that we have been able to engage in. It's very important to note that this hasn't happened just overnight. I've been at PCC for approximately 4 years, so we've been working towards this moment in time. And it's a historical and monumental moment for us because this is PCC's, as a district, it's the first international recruitment trip that the college has engaged in ever. We kind of are lagging a little bit behind in terms of our sister community colleges who have been able to, over the last couple of years, been able to recruit internationally. So we're kind of catching up right now. And very important to note that the funding was provided by a community excellence grant that we wrote for, provided by the foundation. And the grant supported re-engagement, recruitment, and revitalization of international student population here at PCC. And Michael will explain and will share a little bit more about his experience, but overall it was a 10-day trip. So it was quite intense, visiting over 5 different cities across 4 different countries in so many ways. Michael didn't really even have a chance to sleep and move on to his next trip, so he will share a little bit more about it. We engaged with an international recruitment tour company specializing in international recruitment abroad. KIC Univassist have been a member, or they have been an established agency. So we engage with their services in order to recruit international students, and they travel together as a group of institutions. With that being said, the picture is not complete without understanding why we are doing this at this moment in time. So our like Professor Michelson shared, our historical international enrollment data at PCC is presented pretty clearly here. Our international student enrollment has declined over the last 5 years. At a very all-time high, we had about 1,200 students here at PCC who are international students. And when we define international students, we're talking about students under the F1 student visa. That's under our purview at the International Student Center because we do have a lot of regulations that we have to follow with the Department of Homeland Security. And we do have to report international student enrollment to them as part of national security measures. And so the international enrollment at PCC has declined over the last few years. It's a variety of different factors. It really isn't just one specific factor. Part of the reason is we have not engaged in international recruitment at all here at this college as compared to other community colleges, our sister community colleges. But that's not the entire picture. A lot of the enrollment, international student enrollment, is based on what's happening around the world, geopolitical factors affecting international student mobility, but also a lot of it is contributed by just the overall political climate here in the United States. I think you can see later on in future slides, I'll show a little bit more about national trends. The Trump presidency had very, very difficult immigration regulations against international students, which also affected some of that enrollment. But even before the Trump presidency, 5 years before that, there was already a slowdown in international student enrollment overall. So again, it's not just one factor. It's not only all PCC, but also just across the board. But it also paints a different picture, right, of what we have here of international student success and retention at PCC. Despite the decrease in enrollment, we're very proud to say that our international students are thriving here at PCC. Primarily, it's because of the International Student Center staff that we have. It's a small but mighty team. Our retention rates are above 90%, and our success rates are quite high for international students. So we know that our students, once they arrive, they're thriving, they're doing well. A lot of it is collaboration with other departments on campus who are supporting our international students, counseling, pathways, first-year experience, and also collaboration with instruction. It doesn't happen as a vacuum. So again, this success is really not only just us, it's all of us. With that being said, I wanted to also share how the international enrollment compares in our sister community colleges. Now, I apologize, this is a little bit small because there's a lot of data in here, but it does paint a picture of, how we compare against our sister colleges. And many of these colleges, and again, there's many community colleges here in California, there's many choices for our students, but these colleges are the ones who have invested over the years in international recruitment, not just armchair international recruitment, but also by visiting, working with agencies, collaborating with agents, traveling on their own to visit, and being a presence in international students, international schools, as well as communicating with parents and families about the value of a community college education. But you can see the numbers are not lying. Over the last 5 years, you can see, despite the fact some of our sister community colleges have large enrollments of international students, their enrollments were also slowing down. So it does mirror some of the national data that is provided by the Institute of International Education, which is a branch of the U.S. State Department, which collects information of international student enrollment in the United States. As you can see, over the last 5 years, it's slowing down. So again, it's not just one contributing factor, but here at PCC, I think we kind of entered the game a little slower because now we're doing this. It doesn't paint a really positive picture as I'm showing the data, but why now? I think this is the very important question that we're asking. With international student enrollment and mobility of international students coming to the United States, it's really an ebb and flow game, right? It goes up and down just like the stock market. And with international students, a lot of the factors affecting enrollment in the United States is really dependent on what's happening here and around the world. Really good example, 9/11 affected international student enrollment not immediately. 2 years after, you see the decrease drop significantly, right? Because of policies here in the United States making a little bit restrictive for international students to come. And then it kind of rebounded. And then in 2006, 2007, there was a big financial crash, and you see a dip in international student enrollment. Again, it just ebbs and flows, and it recovers eventually. And so with this time, at this point in time, we're seeing decreases already even before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and it affected everyone. Every single college was part of it, right? Our enrollment has been affected, but now this is the time. As the borders are opening up, as many of the consulates are slowly, not immediately, resuming visa processing, some of the COVID restrictions are also opening up. This is the time, this is the prime time for us to be sowing the seeds of really being in front of our families, our PCC international students, their families, their parents, to talk about how great PCC is as a community college and as a pathway to transfer. This is the time, which is why we have started doing this. We're participating in this international recruitment tour. And with that being said, I also wanted to share why we selected these countries to participate in. And the top 5 countries represented here at PCC, China, Korea, Indonesia, Vietnam, Japan, and Taiwan are all in Asia, as you can see. But we are very strategic in where we want to go, and being markets where our international students have an interest in coming here to the United States, and markets that are favorable to us here at PCC. With that being said, I'll pass it on to Michael to share a little bit more about what happened during the trip.
Before Michael starts, I just wanted to make a quick comment that the title of this agenda item, which was recruiting for Thailand trip, that's not exactly accurate, right? Because you went to 5 countries. So it's it would be more accurate to say that it was a Southeast Asia recruiting trip than just Thailand, because that makes it so specific.
I apologize, Trustee
No,
Chen.
it's my oversight because I reviewed the agenda. So as I'm listening to this, I thought, oh, maybe that isn't the case. So my apologies to you and your colleague for setting the agenda as a specific Thailand trip.
It's also my oversight. I'm a rookie in this, so I did not know that I needed to update the title of it. So it was my mistake as well. So I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you, Olivia, and good evening, trustees. It was my incredible honor to represent Pasadena City College on our first international recruitment tour. As Olivia said, I want to share a little bit more about why this specific trip. Okay, Southeast Asia is a region that is a good market for recruiting international students. Across the 4 countries we visited, there is a low capacity for existing post-secondary education, which coupled with the high demand for colleges and universities makes admission to the home country post-secondary institutions difficult for very many students. As a result, many students from these countries turn overseas to study. Economically, the region is also growing at a large rate. Bangkok's monthly income is increasing. Malaysia's overall GDP is increasing. Indonesia has the largest economy in Southeast Asia and is expected to rise to the top 10 in the world by 2050. Vietnam's GDP is also increasing at one of the highest rates in the world, along with their ultra-high net worth individuals and their overall population. These are all from PricewaterhouseCoopers. With the projected decrease in birth rate in the US, turning to a region like Southeast Asia to recruit and establish a brand can be a wise option. So with this backdrop, we decided to go and create a presence in Southeast Asia. So we went to Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Over 9 days, we visited 4 countries, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and we visited 5 cities, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, Kuala Lumpur, and Jakarta. 24 schools were visited and over 700 students were met. One reason we chose to go with KIC Univasist is that they have one of the best reputations in the industry. Traditionally, Southeast Asia is a lunchtime visit region, which means I could do 1 visit a day if I went by myself. Going with KIC Univasist allowed me to visit 24 schools over 10 days. We got valuable classroom time. That means every single student had to listen to me about PCC. That wouldn't have happened if we didn't go with KIC. Another great thing is that I got to go with 23 other institutions. So these ranged from, institutions on the East Coast and Midwest. We were blessed. We were the only California school on the whole tour. So I got to brag about that and got lots of students who wanted to study to California at my table. We got to do some short presentations and also do fairs. Also, I just wanted to say a quick thank you. Thanks to funding from the Community Excellence Grants, we were able to travel to 5 cities. And that's actually a picture of me with students in Vietnam in a hybrid Australian and Vietnam curriculum school. So I wanted to share 3 quick themes about the trip. The first thing that was really amazing to me was that students already knew the PCC name, even though we weren't there. So 2 quick stories I wanted to share was, one moment I happened to step away from my booth and my colleague from another school was like, don't worry, no one's gonna be specifically looking for PCC. Don't worry about it. And I come back to my booth and he goes, someone was looking for PCC. And I'm like, what? And it turns out that student already had a sibling that was here studying at PCC, and they want to come study here also. Later in the trip, I was in Jakarta, and I had a student come up to me and say, I'm going to come to PCC. I'm so glad you're here. I was in Pasadena last summer visiting my aunt, and my plan is to come study here. So something that's really cool is that we already have a presence there. And so it's important that we continue to build that presence so more people can know about our school and our great reputation as one of the top community colleges in California. The second theme is that there is really good interest in community colleges and transfer in the region. There are so many students who are looking for affordable and time-saving options. And so they were really interested in the kind of novel idea of doing like a 2+2, coming here and then doing 2 years to finish their bachelor's. The third thing is that knowledge needs to be increased. So while there was great interest in community colleges, many students had never heard of them before. I got a question like, are you lying to me? Can I really save money like this and still get into some of these top universities? And I was like, no, it's completely true. And so these students were very interested in coming to the community college. Yes, so some next steps after the trip. part of my job is to follow up with those 700 students that I met. So we have a system called Sierra Recruit. It's a tracking, basically, it tracks the students from the prospect to the matriculation level. And so we're tracking the contacts through there. And so any application made from one of those students will be linked to the profile that I already made. So we'll know that we met that student in the region. Also, we have communication plans set up. So we will send follow-up emails to the students, and also there will be a communication plan to try to engage the students with us, hopefully grabbing them into some of our online recruitment events that we're hosting. Finally, like I said, we're doing online events. So we're going to continue to do online recruitment to these students. So we do them in all hours of the day, and hopefully they can join us, get some one-on-one help also through our online appointments. Our hope is to connect and be very personal with these students so that they will want to come study at PCC. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Olivia for future plans.
So Michael has not recovered from his jet lag because he's still doing online appointments and presentations at 2 in the morning for international students. So that's a good thing, right? So I think we're very proud and very excited about the opportunity. I think Michael has done a fantastic job in engaging with students and families. That is the most important thing for us, is that we're putting a face to PCC. We're not just a college. We're there for students and families. Our future plans we're really operating like a 4-year university in terms of undergraduate admissions. We're really focusing on recruiting and continuing the recruitment of international students in emerging markets that are good for PCC, right? Like, we can follow the national trend, that's definitely good, but we also recognize that there are some countries that have higher knowledge of community colleges, or more accepting of community colleges in terms of the profile that we have. And so we're focusing on those areas in Southeast Asia as of particular importance to us. The following strategy that we're doing is we're really using social media to engage our students. We're meeting students where they're at. We're communicating with our international students where they're at. A lot of the social media presence was really spearheaded by Michael during the pandemic. It's creating original content to get PCC on the map. And that's how our students know about us. That's how they're learning about us. And again, creative content is not always about promoting PCC. It's about interesting things, tips that students can learn from just being an international student here. And the final future plan that we really have is really improving our success, retention, and transfer outcomes for our international students. A lot of the work has been set up, and we will continue to build on that. Some of the early intervention strategies that we have really focused on working together with our coaches through Pathways First Year Experience to identify students who are at risk early on, before failing, before not passing a class, and really starting those early interventions soon enough to get international students the help that they need, especially when they're far away, especially when there's a language barrier, and especially when they don't always know how to reach out for help. And so that's one of the things that we're spearheading and continue to do here at the International Student Center. And I'll end this presentation with this statement: is really what we're doing is advancing the mission of the college. Our international efforts advance the mission of the college by creating enriching experience for all PCC students. Our collective global engagement efforts create an environment that promote culturally responsive exploration, participation, and learning for our PCC community. And so the work that we're doing, not shameless plug too, next week is International Education Week that's being celebrated nationally in the United States. So if you have a chance, please come join our events. We'd love to have you here. And really, again, thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity and for trusting us in representing PCC internationally. We have questions. Trustee Wang first, and then Trustee Osterling.
I want to first thank Olivia and Michael for this excellent presentation. So many of the questions I was percolating on before y'all spoke have completely been answered just based on this, so I really do appreciate it. I know you mentioned, and this is just a general comment, that I know you mentioned that this was funded by the Community Excellence Grant from the foundation, and this is a general thought I would love to see. Obviously we can't just do this as a one-time trip. Would love to see what it looks like for this to be sustainable moving forward, given what it sounds to me like a very strong positive response that we got, and especially when we were trying to establish a brand, showing up again and again clearly makes a difference. I would love to hear actually a little bit more, beyond recruitment, what the support for international students is like here on campus. I've met some of the international students. I've seen how strong and tight-knit the community is, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about what the center does to help facilitate that after they do come to get on campus.
Absolutely. We call ourselves a one-stop shop. Our students know us from the very beginning when they first apply. So they have a standalone international application. And so they also have a standalone person that they know when they apply that they can refer to, which is Michael. Michael is the initial advisor who will intake students. So there's that initial support for students where they can meet with us all the way until they're ready to come. We do provide support for students once they arrive. So we do have large orientation sessions for our students, as well as group counseling to guide students on how to register for classes. As we speak, we actually have a virtual group counseling session for our new international students happening right now and being led by one of our counselors at the International Student Center and one of our advisors. And after they arrive, a lot of the programming that we have been able to do to support international student success and also building a sense of community has really taken off over the last year because of the community excellence grants. In the past, it has been a little bit difficult for us to do certain things in terms of programming, but we've received a lot of funding from the Student Activity Fund as well as the Community Excellence Grants to create programming, not only that is culturally enriching, but also academic in nature to guide our international students and to help them build community. So that's another thing that we've done. And one of the other programs that we have spearheaded as part together with adjunct faculty, as well as our coaches and also Michael spearheading some of this, is our international peer leaders. So every new student is assigned an international peer leader that will guide them sort of like a mentor. They don't always come to us as professional staff because there's that maybe age gap or maybe that barrier. And so we've created the International Peer Leader Program so that our peer mentors can guide our international students. And a lot of the collaboration that we have is actually with other departments on campus to ensure our students are exiting to, or graduating, meeting their transfer goals, or getting their degrees. So a lot of collaboration happens with the Transfer Center, with Pathways First Year Experience, and now we have a Dean of Enrollment, a lot of monitoring of data of our students to ensure that they're graduating and persisting and succeeding also happens beyond that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Trustee Osterling and then Trustee Silver.
You have a list of the top 5 countries at PCC 2021-2022, and I noticed that 1, 2, 4, and 5 on that list were not on your trip itinerary. Is there a reason for that, and do you plan to go back and hit those countries where we already have a presence?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons why we chose Southeast Asia as a region, even though they are not, some of the countries are not in our top 5, they actually are the fastest growing international student enrollment here at PCC. And so some countries, like Indonesia was actually Indonesia and Vietnam over the last, especially during the pandemic, for some reason, we've seen an increase in applications from those areas. So that is the reason why, even though they're not top 5, they're the fastest growing countries for us. Again, kind of focusing on what is not always the national trend, but what is emerging for us here at PCC.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Silver?
Hi, I don't know if you know, but during the era of really reduced student visas, so many students wanted to come to the United States to travel and just could not get a visa. What is the situation like now?
It's a very good question. It's really dependent on country. You know, Professor Michelson kind of alluded to it. China has been extremely difficult. Like, China has always been the number one country with the highest number of international students here in the United States. And so when the pandemic hit, it really affected enrollment for a lot of colleges, right? Because that was the number one, that was the predominant student population. It has been quite difficult for some of our Chinese students. It has been quite difficult for some of our more emerging countries like Myanmar, Burma. We actually have a very strong and tight-knit Burmese student community here, and they're actually one of our most active international student clubs. Despite that fact, despite all odds, they're still coming here, even though it's been really difficult in terms of visa. Some other countries are a little bit easier. Latin America, regions of Latin America, we're seeing an ease in getting visas or quickness in getting visas. But a lot of it is really dependent on what's happening with COVID, right? Even though the State Department has already opened up some consulates around the world, there was a huge backlog over the last 2 years, so they're still catching up to it. So this, you know, despite the fact that we're seeing increased numbers, I wouldn't say it's a floodgate of students. It will trickle, and I think it will continue to improve.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you so much to both you, Olivia and Michael, for your presentation. We appreciate your effort, and especially having Zoom meetings at 2 a.m. Kudos to you. I hope you're drinking a lot of coffee to stay up. So thank you both for the data and for the analysis of where you are with international students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have the Superintendent President's Report.
Okay, so obviously I'm going to open with an enormous congratulations to all of us for a successful showing of Measure PCC last night. Yay! The votes are still being counted, but it's currently showing at 67% support. We'll get another number in late tomorrow or Friday. It is the highest vote total among all community college bonds in Los Angeles County, so we have that to be very proud of as well. I want to say a big thank you for all of the folks who made that possible. The Bond Steering Committee, the chair was Jack Scott, and also foundation board members Gloria Pitzer, Don Schweitzer, John Furman, Bob Miller, Jim Kostler, Hoyt Hilsman. Special thanks to alumnus Ryan Liu from PCC to Yale and back again, and he was really helpful. He stepped in and did a ton of work right up until the bond, and none of this could have happened without Bobby Abram and her amazing staff, and also Charles Heath, who was our campaign manager, his company TBWBH. They do polls and campaigns, and it was just amazing. And so that's that. We'll have a final tally soon, so it's exciting. And I've had some people say, well, now what happens? And the short answer is now is when the fun begins. As you all know, I've been doing monthly forums. The forum next week will be about emergency preparedness. In December, the forum will focus on the bond and the next steps. The short answer is that we have some financial pieces of it, obviously. We have bonds to sell, so we have money. But also, in addition to figuring out through an RFP process who our bond program management team is, there's also a component that involves folks giving us advice. So there is the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, which is required as part of the bond. And those of you who are here for Measure PCC, for the first bond in 2002, there are representatives from each of the areas. So that's from the citizens site. Of course, the bond of the facilities committee of the board, very important, as well as the board. From an internal perspective, we will have several opportunities for shared governance involvement. And as many of you may know, when I was at Los Angeles Valley College, I oversaw a bond building program of $624 million. And part of that was shared governance. There was a monthly meeting of what was called the Bond Work Group. And there are individuals who represent each of our representative groups. So a member from the Academic Senate, a member from the Classified Senate, from the Management Association, and each of our respective bargaining units. That group is an oversight group that advises me as the president about project prioritization. They get regular updates about what's going on. So that's kind of an overarching shared governance committee. But then you have the actual projects themselves, because as part of a bond, you usually do new buildings, you usually do renovation projects, or you do some other sort of project. And each one of those has a user group. So basically, we're going to wind up, because we love alphabet soup in community colleges, we are going to have the BWG, and each is going to have a bug, a building user group, a rug, a renovation user group, and a pug, a program user group. And I say that because when you think about new buildings, you have to talk to the people who are actually going to be inside those buildings to make sure, because there are all kinds of things that I don't know, that Richard, that all kinds of folks don't know about how you live in a building. So there's a lot more to come on that, but I just wanted to say that, every step of the process, what's really important now is that this is the community entrusted us with $565 million by voting yes, and we will involve the community in getting feedback, because we're here to create an institution, a physical plant that represents the needs of the community. So more on that, but there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. Last week was homecoming on campus, and the spirit was in the air. We had an awesome prep rally on Thursday with folks gathered in the quad, including, I believe, our band. There was a football game on Saturday night. It was a close one, but we did win over Victor Valley. Yay. That means I have bragging rights over my colleague, Dan Walden, who's the president of Victor Valley. And I want to say thanks to Student Life and Student Services for an amazing experience for our students. Tonight, as you may have seen, down in the quad is university night. We have representatives from colleges and universities meeting with our students. And, PCC is really a transfer machine, and it is humming on all cylinders, because this is how we help our students who are here in the evening, because not all of our students can get here during those important events during the day. Speaking of which, last week we were recognized yet again for our success in transferring our students to the CSUs and other four-year institutions through the Associate Degree for Transfer. The Campaign for College Opportunity basically has us on speed dial. Every time it's ready to recognize a college, we seem to get the call, so that was great. And speaking of achievement, I want to shout out a congratulations to English instructor Brian Kennedy, who has a new publication out, Reaching the Summit, Reimagining the Summit Series in the Canadian Cultural Memory, is a new book from the Journal of Emerging Studies. Dr. Kennedy is also the author of Because All We Are is a Memory of Ourselves, and the Summit Series Now and Then, which expands on his scholarship of the 1972 hockey match between Canada and Russia at the height of the Cold War. Go. So congratulations to Brian Kennedy. Last week, I was at the 3C2A conference, the California Community College Athletic Association conference. Two interesting takeaways. The first is that a couple of the 3C2A staff members were going through a closet because they just renovated their office space. And in that office space, they found 3 pennants from when PCC was in the Junior Rose Bowl, which used to be played. So there was a pennant from 1951, a pennant from 1966, and an undated pennant. And we were going to have those pennants framed. One will be in the president's office, and then we'll send the other ones down to athletics. Really cool. It's great to have that memorabilia, especially as we're close to celebrating our 100th anniversary. The other issue that came up there is a very serious one, and that is the implementation of Assembly Bill 928, which was originally billed, that was from Assemblyman Berman, and it was originally billed as this is a really great way to streamline associate degrees for transfer, to increase the number of students getting ADTs. But what happened along the way is that the part of the bill also called upon the 3 systems, the UC, the CSU, and the community colleges, to come up with a common GE pattern. And there was a group that worked on this with representatives from 3 faculty from each of the senates, from the UC Senate, the CSU, and the Community College Senate. The reason I bring this up is that, the California community colleges don't always have an equal seat at the table when the CSU and the UCs are there. I kind of liken it to being at the kids' table with grape juice instead of Manischewitz, growing up. And what came out of the recommendations that are actually right now being discussed, they'll be voted on and potentially passed along, is that the CSU is happy because the UC agreed to make speech a requirement, which is something that the CSUs really believe in. But on the way to doing that, there was an agreement to get rid of Area E in the GE pattern and for community colleges and CSUs. I bring that up because by getting rid of Area E, you're getting rid of health, kinesiology, nutrition, and all the College 1 classes that we offer. So the very classes that we offer that promote student success for our students, the very classes that our athletes take, and some non-athletes, because we have a lot of students who take nutrition and health as their general education. If this proposed change called CalGETSI goes through, the GE pattern goes down to 34 units, and because we fund athletics through instruction and through GE courses, it has the potential of completely destroying athletics across the state. And the CSU, when this was raised with them, they said, oh, well, that's okay. We can make nutrition or something like this, lifelong learning, an upper division requirement. And the response was, well, we don't teach at the upper division, so that doesn't help the community colleges. And then they said, well, we could make it a graduation requirement. But again, by getting rid of that area, we are effectively removing one of the number 1 ways that athletes are successful and many of our students are successful in transferring to the CSU and the UC. So I have colleagues who will be speaking to the Board of Governors next week about this. I'll be speaking to the CEO, all of the CEOs next Thursday at CCLC. But this is a very serious issue. The only possible saving grace is that in order for the regulations to go through, these proposals to go through, all 3 systems, if the faculty can agree, this ICAS committee, it goes to the system, and the 3 systems have to agree. So we are, of course, doing a full court press on the Board of Governors and on the Chancellor's office to help us block this. Because, if the UCs and the CSUs funded athletics through instruction, they would actually be paying attention to what we're saying. But when we say we fund athletics through instruction, they just kind of stare at us blankly. And one of the suggestions at one point in this process was, well, that's okay, then don't fund it through instruction, except for this little tiny thing called the 50% law, because we fund athletics through instruction, so it's, quote, on the right side of 50%. So I will keep you apprised of this, but this has the potential of impacting 24,000 students across the state at 110 community colleges. And so it's pretty serious business. And the other thing I'll say is that we had a preview of the new athletic scorecard that will come out on the CalPass website on Monday. And what that shows is, on average, athletes across the state have higher GPAs than non-athletic students. They complete at a higher rate. They transfer at a higher rate. So you are also talking about potentially taking out the very student population who helps us with our success data and meeting and closing those equity gaps. So stay tuned, because this is really serious. And then next week, I will be traveling, as I noted, to the CCLC conference in Sacramento, and I will be presenting about AB 928. And for presidential colleagues, and I will be, females actually, will be presenting on Friday, I'm Every Woman, the challenges of being a female CEO in the California Community College system. And it promises to be a very interesting session, because we've all got some very interesting stories to tell. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Now we have announcements by shared governance representatives and the board. I will start with the student representative, Emmanuel Gomez.
Thank you. Good evening, y'all. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm happy to be back and privileged to report tonight, beginning with some shout-outs. Happy post-election day, by the way. I want to thank everyone in Dina who casted their vote, and I look forward to that final count. I want to recognize that the Transfer Center and Writing Center have been great support, along with everyone else supporting us students with the UC transfer applications and events. As some of you may have noticed out in the quad, as Dr. Jonas mentioned, University Day was taking place this evening to encourage students to apply for transfer, while ASPCC was offering a warm place to apply with Pi in an indoor student space right below us. So I want to thank them as well for their commitment to students, their constituents. During these past few weeks, we've been discussing some of our tasks at hand in our ASPCC board meetings and tabling throughout campus, engaging with students to obtain their feedback on, first, explaining to students the process of the Calendar Standing Committee and Shared Governance, reviewing the 2024 through 2025 academic year calendar drafts available so that we can report back at the upcoming meeting next Wednesday, the 16th. Second, asking and encouraging students to submit feedback on the merit pool's design options, and we'll have further discussion at our next board meeting in 2 weeks. Third, asking students if they feel comfortable aligning to the City of Pasadena's current COVID-19 masking orders for institutions of higher education. After speaking to several hundred students and deliberating the topic, there's a consensus in moving forward to relax the PCC masking mandate, as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention suggests proceeding during low transmission levels. And in our efforts to avoid confusion, we would like to ensure that students are aware of the pending COVID-19 protocol update, so we recommend that this is implemented at the beginning of the spring semester. I'm also proud to report that we continue to progress in breaking barriers at PCC. We've aimed to improve our practices and policies to become more equitable for student leaders to continue their participation with associated students by finding alternative methods to increase student stipends and support their ability to succeed in their education and advocacy. while attempting to make ends meet. A special thanks to Dr. Cobb, who was here earlier, I believe, for her guidance and advocacy in this development. This is something we've been working on since the previous board. And I also want to thank all of the faculty and staff who've supported students in this progressive goal. Lastly, I want to thank Dr. Olivo for her continuous support and dedication to students beyond her duties. As a core scholar, I've watched you collaborate extensively with faculty and staff that are truly grounded in equity and empathy, not just at PCC, but throughout the state as well. You literally exceed that 8 to 5 work shift mindset. So congratulations to you and the students of Fullerton College. Go Lancers, though. Yeah, so thank you all, and happy Veterans Day to our Lancer veterans. That's my report.
Thank you. Now we have Ms. Dion Miller.
Good evening and thank you. We would first like to acknowledge and thank our Management Association veterans for their service. We have Steve Machin, Tito Altamirano, and Matt Camara. We'd also like to recognize Carol Calandra, who was here earlier. As you all noticed, she is a rock star, and her outstanding work that she has been doing in the Veterans Resource Center in the community and nationally to assist our student veterans and make PCC a veteran-friendly hub for military members and their families. Other things that the Management Association has been working on is reviewing job descriptions for new management jobs, reviewing the mirror pools for the future, and masking mandates, and looking at future academic calendars for the college. The managers have also concluded their self-evaluations and turned them into their direct supervisors, and so we're looking forward to positive feedback from them. We would also like to welcome Marisol Garza into the management ranks, as she is now the Child Development Specialist. We would also like to thank and congratulate Dr. Kitmani Kwanchow for her time here at PCC. We wish her the best luck in her new role as Vice President of Student Services at Bemidji State, something like that. And last but not least, we want to extend a special congratulations to Dr. Cynthia Olivo as she leaves PCC, leaving behind a legacy as she starts her new job at President of Fullerton College. We wish you continued success, Dr. Olivo. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. And now we have Lena Hicks. I'm sorry I put you on the spot earlier, but please welcome, and we're here to hear your report. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. I'm Lena Hicks, librarian and Academic Senate Secretary. At this week's Academic Senate meeting, our goals for the school year were officially passed. Subcommittees have presented at recent Senate meetings to give updates about their amazing work, including the Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee, presented by Catherine Cheng and Tracy Bodish, the Faculty Development Committee, presented by librarian Ken Simon, and the Social Justice Committee, presented by Armia Walker and Lindsay Ruiz. The Social Justice Committee is working on an anti-racist policy that we encourage the Board of Trustees to approve once it reaches this level. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have now updates and from announcements from the Board of Trustees. Trustee Osterling.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations and farewell to Dr. Olivo. We'll miss you, and those are big shoes that have to be filled. But I know from your accomplishments here that you're ready for the next step in your career. And again, we'll miss you. Secondly, I hope many of you are able to join me tomorrow at noon at the Veterans Wall for the Veterans Day observation, one of the events that I enjoy going to each year. And lastly, it's been said already, but I'll repeat it. it appears that we're on our way to success for Measure PCC. We're at about 67% plurality. 55% is required, so we've blown well past that mark, which is really an amazing tribute to the campaign committee, everybody that helped, the PCC Foundation, the steering committee, but most importantly to our voters who have decided that they're willing to pay extra property taxes to help keep PCC the great institution that we are and the great facilities that we have here to continue to improve them. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Trustee Martin?
I'd also like to just issue my excitement and disappointment that Dr. Olivo is going to be leaving us. But I want you to know I'm going to put you in a very elite category that's only shared with Ernestine Moore. So thank you for all you've done for us.
Trustee Gibson?
Yeah, I wanted to express appreciation for being able to attend the Future of Work conference yesterday. I think it was very well put on and presented. Good learning experience. I was able to meet some presidents of some other community colleges around here, and I look forward to, us continuing to find these opportunities in vocational areas for our students. I'm honored to have been invited to speak to students at Muir today. It was a great experience. I hope I inspired them. They inspired me with their willingness to listen and willingness to learn. So that was a great experience. So that's it. Thank you.
Trustee Silver?
Hi. I am, first of all, much love to you, Dr. Olivo. I was able to attend the Association of Community College Trustees Conference, and I just came away walking on clouds. I learned so much. There were fabulous sessions, and I will just give you a little taste because there's so much. But one that was just super was a full-day workshop. The title was Improving Educational Outcomes for Men of Color, and it was given by foremost thinkers in the field, Dr. Luke Wood and Dr. Ed Harris. So besides them leading the session, we also had panels with students and other people that were just phenomenal. We should be proud. This is a national conference, and for many people, I think they were hearing this, maybe for the first time, whereas we are doing a lot of the work. So many of the suggestions that Dr. Wood and Dr. Harris made, I could nod my head and say, yeah, we're doing that. But just some of the things emphasize the importance of dual enrollment that targets boys of color, to involve the parents in dual enrollment programs, and to be sure that you're offering courses that those students are interested in, as well as that lead then to high career with high wages. Interesting, I don't know, we may do this, but I didn't know. It said, make sure that athletes, although this is very sad after hearing what you just said, Dr. Inshans, that athletes are involved in dual enrollment. And a good way to connect with the student athletes at the high school level is to involve the coaches and the athletic directors. So that was something I learned. Just to support the needs of students, which I think PCC does so well with basic needs like food, transportation, housing, mental health. And then they said, establish partnerships in the community. We don't have to take on all these tasks on our own. Maybe there are companies that can help with job and career training, or mental health agencies that can help. So just to not always look to ourselves, that maybe there are other places to help. And just a simple thing that we all can do that makes a climate welcoming to not only our students of color, but everybody, is to look people in the eye as you're passing through campus, to acknowledge people with a look in their eye and a smile and a nod, maybe a hello, and that can really make a difference for students that don't feel that they belong. They're not quite sure they belong in college or on our campus. So make them very careful. So that was just an amazing session. I went to a board assessment and evaluation session and learned a lot there. One thing is, assessments are not data points, they're about culture and process, and that it's okay to have a few goals, because right now we have kind of a lot of goals. They said 2 would be okay. And that the ACCT has a board evaluation instrument, so to keep that in the back of our own mind, that maybe there's something we can use as a foundation when we're developing our own goals. We had a great session on creating facilities master plans, which I learned a lot, and a very practical session on dual enrollment that was given by Bakersfield College. And I really learned a lot from that, and they're right here in California, and they have a lot we can learn from. So that was just a super, super conference. Then here, locally in Pasadena, I wanted to give kudos to Dr. Jones, Vice President Jones, sorry, I never know how many titles to go, because I am so enjoying the PCC coffees, the people connecting over coffee. I've done 3 of them, and I've learned so much at each of them, connecting with really interesting faculty people, and I like how it's breaking down silos here at PCC. Just a super quick example of one thing is I had coffee with the director of our paralegal certificate program, and was talking, and it turns out in that program they have hours that they need to do with practical legal help. And I said, we have an organization here called CORE that helps system-impacted students, and I wonder if they might have any legal issues that your paralegal students could help with. And he said, sure. And I said, well, let's go. And because Dr. Olivo had given me a tour, I knew right where the CORE offices were. So we really picked up our coffee cups, walked across from Java Hut to the CORE office, and there was a young man there who connected with the director of the paralegal program, and I'm very optimistic that something new will happen to support our students here at PCC. So please be involved, sign up for the coffee. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Trustee Kwan?
Okay. Well, just tagging on Trustee Silver, I'm going to look Dr. Olivo in the eye and smile. I've worked with you since July 14th, actually a little bit after, but I met you at the day I was sworn in. And in the very brief period that I've met you and worked with you, I've discovered and learned that you just have you love students. And you want the very best for them, and you want to see them succeed. Whether it's here or elsewhere, you are making a difference in people's lives. Our loss is their gain, and I hope you come back. I hope you hate it there. Just kidding. North Orange County Community College District will be so much better off with your presence, and they will soon realize very, very quickly the passion and the love and the joy that you have for students. And I hope that you will be able to do great things there in as much as you did here. And I personally wish you the best of luck. Okay. The Temple City Unified School District received a new superintendent. His name is Dr. Art Kuno. He came from Laco, formerly in the Human Resources Department. I went to visit him when the school board had a reception for him. And, so I went to Dr. Ramirez's dean's meeting, and I met all 13 of their deans. And they had indicated to me that they would like to do outreach in the community, so I told them that I would help them. And Dean Francisco Suarez wanted to do outreach for his non-credit program, so I cornered the superintendent at Temple City Unified. and asked him and his 3 school board members whether or not they would be interested in bringing in non-credit courses, and they said, absolutely, when can we get started? Then I cornered the city manager the next day and asked if they would be interested in having PCC courses at the city of Temple City, and they said, yes, when can we get started? Then I met with the assistant city manager in South Pasadena yesterday, and she said, not only do we like to get started, but we're having a forum on Wednesday night, and we will give you a table for PCC to have a representative. So tonight, one of your faculty is at the City Hall in the city of South Pasadena doing outreach to the community for PCC's non-credit courses. And I'm really excited to see our programs being more visible. I'd like to thank everyone for all the help that they did on the bond campaign. I went out on Sunday. Thank you, trustees Wong, Chen Lau, and Gibson for coming out on Sunday to do some canvassing for the bond campaign.
Thank you. Trustee Wang?
Good evening, everyone. I'm also going to start by expressing my thanks and deep appreciation to you, Dr. Olivo. I remember when Dr. Jonas first notified us that you may be leaving, I immediately responded with no. And I still feel the same way, but now I'm also elated that you're moving into this new role. And I just echo what everybody has said so far. Your commitment to students has been incredibly moving to see, and also something I am learning a lot from. And so I really thank you for your leadership and helping speak for myself, ease me onto this new role after we were sworn in. So thank you very much, and congratulations to you. I also want to echo the thanks to our community members for helping pass Measure PCC. I never heard anything but positive feedback about the measure in the community, and I think it's really great to see the work that the foundation, our bond committee, and our fellow board members, and of course, everybody who has been involved in the campaign put in, and really see that pay off. I'm really excited to see the work that we're going to be able to do with the bond dollars. I also wanted to say an early happy Veterans Day, obviously, to our veterans community here in PCC and across the West San Gabriel Valley, and thank them for all of their service and their leadership in our communities. And since we are a day right after an election, I want to congratulate our colleagues locally across various city councils and school boards and other community college districts who have gotten the results of their elections, and looking forward to working with all of them across our region. And just briefly, in terms of locally, I wanted to congratulate our local Arcadia Chinese Association for the recent gala, which I was really pleased to attend, and also our downtown Arcadia for a fun little Halloween trick-or-treat event that ended up having thousands of people there, and I was myself a little overwhelmed by the number of hands that were stretching out at me asking for candy, but really glad to see the activity that's happening locally, and looking forward to bring PCC back more into that fold as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Trustee Chung?
First of all, thank you and congrats to Dr. Olivo. We will really miss you. Please come visit often. And a big shout out to everyone with the student resource and support programs and events. We really appreciate it. And a couple of weeks back, I attended the ACCT conference, from which the student trustee across the nation collaborated on national advocacy for community colleges. I am currently working with the associated students to narrow down our center of focus, which I'll be advocating for the rest of the year. And then I'm also working on student outreach to get more feedback on the mirror pool design. So hopefully I could get more feedback before the facility meetings and our next board meetings. And I would like to close with a big thank you to the veterans and for all your services. And thank you everyone for attending tonight.
Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to echo my fellow trustees in congratulating you, Dr. Olivo. It was never a doubt that you will be leading an institution. It was just a matter of when. And to see you be at this point in your career is so rewarding for me, and also to know that you will be leading a college in Orange County that certainly needs your vision for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's also very inspiring. So congratulations, and we expect wonderful things from you to come. But we know that you won't be a stranger, because I'm sure you'll be at all the conferences as well. And I also like to thank my fellow trustees for their efforts on the campaign trail for Measure PCC. That measure is a long time coming. It's been years that we anticipated that we can get a measure through, and it's finally happened. And in particular, the trustees have dialed and called and walked, but also reached into their own networks to ensure that we get endorsements and support from our local elected and community leaders. And I like to just acknowledge the support that we received from Congress members Judy Chu, Adam Schiff, State Senator Anthony Portantino, State Assembly members Mike Fong and Chris Holden, as well as our supervisor, Catherine Barger. And it's a measure that brought the community together. At the same time, I like to also thank my fellow trustees again for being advocates in their communities. Oftentimes, people think that it is just Pasadena, the city of Pasadena, but there are many, many cities, Arcadia, South Pass, San Marino, Altadena, Rosemead, Temple City, are all part of this community. And again, thank you to my fellow trustees for really raising the bar on this with this measure. I want to end with, again, thanking the attendants and the participants of our 2 campus chats with Board of Trustees. Many of you came, and we've heard feedback, concerns, and it was a wonderful opportunity for us to engage with stakeholders, both internal and external, in the community, and we would like to do that again in the spring. So I would like to recommend that we adjourn. I know we're going to get to that, to celebrate both Dr. Olivo and also Mary Thompson as well. And so proposed future board business. I believe we have our retreat on December 10th. I believe that date has been set. And then we have proposed future agenda items.
I think Dr. Androgenis is already on it, but we do need to agendize the mirror pool presentation and vote by the trustees so we can make sure that we are not slowing down the design and construction process. And that'll be for our next board meeting in December.
I do know that we also had talked about dual enrollment presentation, so that will be on as well. Any other agenda items? Okay. Well, we're at this point, and it's again, we will adjourn with recognition of both Mary Thompson and Dr. Cynthia Olivo. Thank you both for your service. Thank you.